The year was 1963. Ford dealerships across America were filled with sensible family cars, work trucks, and comfortable cruisers. Nothing too radical, nothing too dangerous, but hidden inside a few seemingly ordinary Ford Fairlanes, Falcons, and Mustangs was something very different. A small V8 that sounded angry, a small V8 that revved harder than most American engines of its day, and a small V8 that would help launch one of the most important performance revolutions in automotive history. Its name was the 289 High-Performance K-Code. Today, most people know the legends. They know the Shelby Cobra. They know the Shelby GT 350. They know Carroll Shelby. They know Ford's victories in racing. But what almost nobody knows is that many of those stories began with a single engine option buried deep inside Ford's ordering system. A tiny letter, and somehow, despite changing Ford's future forever, the K-Code was slowly pushed into the background, forgotten by casual enthusiasts, overshadowed by bigger engines, bigger horsepower numbers, bigger legends. So how did one of Ford's most important engines become one of its most overlooked? You think you know this story? Not like this. To understand the K-Code, you have to go back to a time when America was obsessed with cubic inches. In the early 1960s, bigger was better. General Motors, Chrysler, and Ford were all locked in an escalating horsepower war. Every year, engines grew larger, more displacement, more torque, more marketing. The industry had become obsessed with a simple formula: displacement equals power. Cubic inches meant bragging rights, and bragging rights sold cars. Chevrolet was stuffing big blocks into everything. Pontiac was building massive V8s that redefined muscle. Chrysler's engineers were creating monsters with hemispherical combustion chambers. The American buyer had been conditioned to believe one thing: there was no replacement for displacement. Yet Ford engineers were facing a challenge. Their compact Falcon platform was selling well, but performance buyers wanted something more exciting. The standard Falcon was reliable, economical, practical, but nobody was writing songs about practical. Nobody was racing practical on weekends, and nobody was bragging to their friends about practical. The problem was simple: big block engines were heavy. Heavy engines hurt handling, heavy engines ruined balance, and heavy engines couldn't always fit where engineers wanted them. Cramming a massive V8 into a compact chassis created more problems than it solved. The front end became nose-heavy, steering lost responsiveness, braking distances increased. The entire character of a vehicle changed, and not always for the better. Ford needed a different solution. Instead of building a monster V8, they decided to make a small V8 far more aggressive. It was a radical departure from conventional American thinking. European manufacturers had been doing this for years. Ferrari built small displacement engines that screamed to extraordinary RPM levels. Porsche extracted incredible power from relatively tiny engines. Jaguar proved that efficiency and engineering could triumph over brute force. But American manufacturers had largely ignored these lessons. Until now, the foundation already existed. Ford's small block V8 family had begun with the 221 cubic inch engine in 1962 before growing into the 260 and eventually the 289. The architecture was sound, compact dimensions, reasonable weight, good packaging characteristics. The standard 289 was already a solid performer. It powered thousands of family sedans, reliable transportation, adequate power, nothing special. But engineers wanted something far more serious, something capable of surviving racing, something capable of sustained high RPM operation, something that could embarrass much larger engines. That's where the K-Code was born. Officially introduced for the 1963 model year, the high-performance 289 looked almost identical to an ordinary small block from the outside. A casual observer wouldn't notice the difference. The same basic external dimensions, similar accessories, painted the same Ford blue, but internally, it was a very different animal. Displacement remained 289 cubic inches. The bore measured 4.00 inches. The stroke remained 2.87 inches. Those dimensions created an over-square design that naturally favored higher engine speeds. Over-square engines, where bore exceeds stroke, allow pistons to move shorter distances during each rotation. This reduces piston speed at any given RPM. Lower piston speeds mean reduced stress, reduced friction, and higher sustainable engine speeds. Most American V8s of the era relied on massive displacement and low-end torque. They were designed for stoplight acceleration, effortless highway cruising, towing capacity. They built peak torque at low RPM and ran out of breath before 5,000 revolutions per minute. The K-code took a different path. It wanted RPM, and to survive those RPM levels, Ford engineers strengthened nearly everything. The crankshaft received improved balancing. Better balancing reduced vibration. Less vibration meant improved reliability and improved bearing life. Connecting rods were upgraded. Stronger forgings, better metallurgy, increased fatigue resistance. The harmonic balancer became heavier. This external balancer helped control the torsional vibrations inherent in any crankshaft. At high RPM, these vibrations could destroy an engine. The upgraded balancer provided insurance. The engine used stronger main bearing caps. These caps secured the crankshaft to the engine block. Under high loads and high RPM, inferior caps could flex. Flexing meant increased bearing clearances. Increased clearances meant oil pressure loss. Oil pressure loss meant engine failure. Ford wasn't taking chances. A special high-performance camshaft dramatically increased valve lift and duration. The camshaft determines when valves open and close, how far they open, how long they stay open. The K-code cam was aggressive. More lift meant larger valve openings. Longer duration meant valves stayed open through more crankshaft rotation. The result was dramatically improved airflow at high RPM. But aggressive camshafts created trade-offs. Idle quality suffered. Low-speed drivability became rougher. Fuel economy decreased. But nobody ordering a K-code cared about fuel economy. Solid lifters replaced hydraulic units. Hydraulic lifters were quieter, maintenance-free, perfect for family cars, but they couldn't maintain valve control at extreme RPM. Solid lifters eliminated that problem. That meant more maintenance, more noise, regular valve adjustments, but also significantly more performance. Compression ratio jumped to 10.51. Higher compression meant more cylinder pressure. More pressure meant more force on the pistons. More force meant more power. But it also demanded premium fuel and increased the risk of detonation. A large Autolite 4-barrel carburetor sat on top. This carburetor flowed substantially more air than standard units. Larger venturies, bigger throttle bores, higher fuel delivery capacity. Exhaust manifolds flowed better. Standard manifolds prioritized packaging and cost. The K-code versions prioritized flow. Less restriction, better scavenging, more power. Ignition components were upgraded. Dual-point distributors provided more accurate timing. Better spark control at high RPM. Improved reliability under racing conditions. The result was an officially advertised 271 horsepower at 6,000 revolutions per minute and 312 pound-feet of torque. Today, those numbers might not sound earth-shattering. Modern four-cylinder engines make more power. Turbocharged motors laugh at these figures, but in 1963, they were shocking, especially from only 289 cubic inches. Ford was advertising nearly 1 horsepower per cubic inch. That was Ferrari territory, Porsche numbers, not typical American production car output, and many insiders believed the engine was making more power than Ford admitted. Horsepower ratings in the 1960s were complicated. Some manufacturers inflated numbers for marketing, others understated them for insurance purposes, or racing classifications, or corporate politics. Some estimates placed actual output closer to 300 horsepower in factory trim. Dynamometer testing by independent magazines sometimes showed higher numbers. Chassis dyno results suggested Ford was being conservative. That may not sound like much today, but remember the context. This was an era when many V8s struggled to reach 200 horsepower. Family sedans made 150 horsepower. Truck engines prioritized torque over power. Even some performance options barely cracked 250 horsepower. The K-code was delivering nearly 1 horsepower per cubic inch. An extraordinary achievement for an American production engine, an achievement that rivaled European exotics. engines that cost exponentially more, engines that required constant maintenance, engines that weren't designed for street use. And then Carroll Shelby entered the picture. What happened next changed everything. Shelby had already established himself as one of the most ambitious figures in motorsports. He'd won Le Mans in 1959, proven himself as a world-class driver, built a reputation for understanding what made cars fast, but a heart condition ended his driving career. So Shelby became a manufacturer instead. His vision was simple: take a lightweight British sports car, install American V8 power, create something capable of defeating Europe's best. The formula wasn't new. Hot rodders had been doing it for years, cramming American torque into European chassis. But Shelby wanted to do it properly, with engineering, with development, with racing success to prove the concept. The platform became the AC Cobra. AC Cars was a small British manufacturer. They built the Ace, a beautiful roadster with an inline-six engine, decent handling, excellent chassis dynamics, but desperately underpowered. Shelby saw potential, but the earliest Cobras used Ford's 260 V8. While capable, Shelby wanted more, much more. The 260 was a good engine, reliable, compact, but it made only 260 horsepower in best trim. That wasn't enough for Shelby's ambitions. He was competing against Corvettes, Ferraris, Jaguars, Aston Martins. The 260 wasn't going to cut it. When the high-performance 289 arrived, it looked like the perfect solution. The engine was compact, relatively lightweight, durable, and capable of producing enormous power for its size. More importantly, it had headroom. The factory rating was conservative. Shelby's team knew they could extract more, much more. The marriage transformed both the Cobra and the K-Code forever. Inside a Cobra weighing roughly 2,100 pounds, the Hypo 289 became terrifying. Think about that weight, 2,100 pounds. Most modern sports cars weigh 3,000 pounds. Performance sedans often exceed 4,000 pounds. The Cobra was barely heavier than a modern Mazda Miata, but with nearly triple the horsepower and all that power going to the rear wheels. Through a chassis with minimal safety equipment, no traction control, no stability management, no anti-lock brakes, just raw mechanical fury. Road testers described acceleration as violent, not quick, not fast, violent. Contemporary tests recorded 0 to 60 times in the low 4-second range. 4-second 0 to 60 times in 1963. To put that in perspective, most family cars needed over 10 seconds. Performance cars might manage 7 or 8 seconds. The Cobra was demolishing those numbers. Quarter-mile runs often landed in the high 12-second bracket at over 110 miles per hour. Again, these were extraordinary figures. Many purpose-built drag cars struggled to run 12-second quarters. Yet here was a street-legal sports car doing it consistently. Those numbers rivaled dedicated race cars and embarrassed nearly everything else on the road. The engine's willingness to rev became one of its greatest strengths. While many American V8s felt finished by 5,000 revolutions per minute, the K-Code happily charged towards 6,500. Some brave souls pushed even higher. 7,000 revolutions per minute wasn't uncommon in racing. The engine didn't vibrate itself apart, didn't detonate, didn't destroy bearings. It just kept pulling, kept making power, kept screaming. Drivers loved it. The sound was intoxicating, a high-pitched wail unlike typical American V8s. More sophisticated, more mechanical, more purposeful. Racers loved it. The engine proved remarkably durable under competition conditions. With proper maintenance and preparation, K-Code survived endurance racing, road racing, drag racing. They were versatile performers, and competitors hated it. Chevrolet teams watched Cobras dominate. Ferrari drivers faced unexpected challengers. Jaguar's racing programs suddenly had serious American competition. The natural order had been disrupted. A small American V8 was beating European exotics, but there was a problem. The harder teams pushed the engine, the more weaknesses began to appear. Racing exposes everything, every flaw, every weak bolt, every oiling issue, every cooling problem. and the K code was about to face some of the most brutal testing imaginable. Track conditions that would destroy lesser engines, sustained high RPM operation that revealed every design weakness. The pressure was enormous. Shelby's team began documenting failures, oil starvation during hard cornering, cooling inadequacies during endurance racing, valvetrain instability at extreme RPM. Each problem required a solution, and each solution made the engine better, stronger, more capable. This is where the K code truly evolved. Shelby's engineers developed improved oiling systems, better windage trays, upgraded oil pumps, modified pickup locations, cooling systems received attention, larger radiators, better water flow, improved thermostats. The valvetrain got stronger components, stiffer valve springs, better retainers, upgraded rocker arms. With these modifications, the K code became genuinely competitive, race-winning competitive, championship-winning competitive. The Cobra began racking up victories, SCCA championships, international races, endurance events. The little Ford V8 was proving itself on the world stage, and then came the Mustang. When Ford launched the Mustang in April 1964, it became an instant sensation. Over 22,000 sold on the first day, over 400,000 in the first year. It captured American imagination, youth, freedom, affordable performance, and buried in the options list was that same K code engine. For a few $100s extra, buyers could transform their secretary's car into a legitimate performance machine. The Mustang K code became a legend in its own right. Lighter than a Fairlane, better handling than most American cars, genuine sports car performance, and it looked fantastic. Magazine tests praised the combination. Road and Track called it a revelation. Car and Driver celebrated the handling balance. Motor Trend recognized the value proposition. Here was a car that cost less than a Corvette, handled better than most American performance cars, and delivered genuine thrills. The K code Mustang changed perceptions. Americans began understanding that displacement wasn't everything, that engineering mattered, that a well-developed small engine could outperform a lazy big block. Then Shelby got his hands on the Mustang. The GT 350 was born, and the K code reached its ultimate expression. Shelby modified everything. Suspension got complete reworking, brakes were upgraded dramatically, the interior was stripped for weight, and the engine received serious attention. Shelby's team installed a high-rise aluminum intake manifold, a larger carburetor, free-flowing exhaust headers, revised camshaft timing, better breathing throughout. The result was advertised as 306 horsepower, but again, the real number was probably higher. Some estimates suggested over 320 horsepower, from 289 cubic inches, without forced induction, without exotic materials, just brilliant engineering and careful development. The GT 350 became a racing legend. B production SCCA championships, Trans Am victories, endurance racing success. The K code proved it belonged among the world's best performance engines. Yet somehow, despite all this success, the K code began fading from memory. The 428 Cobra jet arrived. The Boss 429 captured imaginations. Cleveland Motors and Windsor Motors and big block monsters dominated conversations. The K code became a footnote, an asterisk in Ford's performance history. Collectors focused on the bigger engines. Restorers chased higher displacement. The market valued cubic inches over engineering excellence. And slowly, quietly, the K code slipped into obscurity. Today, genuine K code cars command respect among knowledgeable enthusiasts. But casual fans overlook them. The numbers seem small. 271 horsepower doesn't impress in an era of 700 horsepower Hellcats. 289 cubic inches sounds tiny compared to modern big blocks. Yet those who understand appreciate what the K code represented. A philosophical shift, an engineering triumph, proof that American manufacturers could build sophisticated, high-revving performance engines. The K code showed that displacement wasn't the only answer, that engineering development mattered, that a small, well-designed engine could accomplish extraordinary things. It proved American manufacturers could compete with European sophistication, and it launched Ford's performance dynasty. Without the K code, there's no Cobra Legend, no GT 350, no Trans Am championships, no proof of concept that led to later performance programs. The K code was the foundation, the beginning, the spark that ignited everything else. So the next time someone dismisses small displacement engines, or claims there's no replacement for displacement, or suggests American manufacturers never understood high-performance engineering, remember the K code. Remember what 289 cubic inches accomplished. Remember that sometimes the most important revolutions start quietly, with a single letter buried in an options list.